Wherever you are in the world, welcome to another edition of My Take on China. So many people tell me that they don't like communism, and one of the major reasons is under communism you can never own anything. Well, I've been looking at this and I've found, even though I live in communist China, the complete opposite is true. There are currently 1.7 million people with assets over 10 million RMB. That's about $1.5 million US dollars. And according to one list, the Hurun Rich List, China has more billionaires than the USA with 846. That's not bad for a communist country that people keep telling me doesn't allow anyone to own anything. So let's look at my personal situation, my personal circumstances. And I know this is not typical because I'm a foreigner living in China. But my wife isn't. She's a Chinese person living in China. So her and her family are probably where we can get a good idea. I own my own apartment, but I don't own the land it's on. My wife also owns an apartment, but she doesn't own the land it's on either. We have 70-year leases, which will last us until the end of our lives. So effectively, we're living rent-free in one of them and the other is sitting empty. Because it's not an expensive apartment and there are plenty of rentals available, so the market isn't so good. We might get 1,200 RMB a month rental. It's less than $200. But we might also get a lot of headaches having a tenant in it. So many people ask me, why don't you rent it out? And the answer is, it's not worthwhile. There are no costs associated with keeping it empty. Now, this is something I personally think should change. Empty apartments should attract a property tax, but up to now they don't. We pay no rents, no rates, no property tax. The maintenance fees for the apartment to the building owner are less than $100 a month. A year, not a month. $100 a year. If we want to, when we get near the end of the lease, I'll be 120 years old, we can extend it as the people did who sold my apartment to me 10 years ago. They extended it. It cost them 30,000 RMB, which is about 4,000, and they got a new 70-year lease, which I bought from them. We don't have children, so after we're gone, the land will revert back to the country, but the apartments on it will not. If the government wants to take them over, they must offer my estate or my wife's estate the value at market price. If not, the estate can sell them, and whoever my wife and I nominate as our beneficiaries will get the value, less the cost of re-registering the land use for a further 70 years. We choose not to, but we could buy cars if we want. The reason we choose not to is because there's nowhere in the city that will cost me more than $30 US to reach by taxi. 99% of the journeys I take in a taxi cost less than $5. A friend who lives right at the edge of town came over for a meal the other day. Hi, Darren. He paid 160 RMB to get home. He had to pay an extra 20 RMB for the driver to cover the return tolls because it was very late at night. That's 180 RMB total to go 45 kilometers and a 40-minute drive, 22 US dollars. Traveling into city by plane or train or nearby cities on a bus will cost a fraction of the price of the West. For example, Beijing by train is 2,200 kilometers. It takes 9 hours from our local station with no changes. That's a direct line. It costs 782 RMB. If I drove, the fuel and tolls would be much higher. It would take about 25 hours. So there's at least one overnight stop involved in that $110. If we wanted to buy a car, we can. There are so many fantastic brands to choose from. I particularly like the Zeekr. Not a well-known brand, but it's a very well-built and affordable electric car. It has a range of 348 miles and all the attributes of a Porsche Cayenne, like 0 to 60 in 3-point-something seconds, but is less than half the price. It's a nice car. What else can I tell you about living under communism? I have a credit card with a 200,000 RMB, that's almost $30,000 limit. But I've never paid a cent of interest or any costs for it. It's completely free to me because I've never had a debt on it. It's a MasterCard, so I use it to buy things online, and I use it for cash advances when I travel. By the way, we pay no rates or property taxes in China, nor are there any standing charges on any of our utilities. So when I go away for a month, my electricity bill is about 50 RMB, less than $10, because I leave the fridge, freezer, and a couple of other safety features running. I'm confident in doing that because in the last 10 years, I haven't experienced a power failure. My water bill every month is less than 30 RMB, $6 or $7. When I go away for a month, that reduces to zero. Everybody owns their own phone here. I guess it's possible to get a plan with a free phone, I don't know, but why would anyone bother? My phone, a Vivo, Chinese brand, cost me less than $200. I pay around 100 to 150 RMB a month, never more than $20 to keep it. But I don't make many calls on it, only to my father in the UK from time to time. Not a lot else, since everything here is done on WeChat. We communicate, we send messages, videos, photos, we pay for everything, and it's all free because there's Wi-Fi everywhere. There's also 5G in every single town, village, and community inside of China. The phones never drop out. They work in elevators, they work inside underground car parks, they work all through the cities and even on the high-speed trains and the buses. They work across the deserts throughout China, and although there are probably some blind spots in the mountains, no one lives there, and where they do live, there are no blind spots. I'm sure there are places where my phone won't work, but I've cycled 35,000 kilometers across China, and I haven't found one yet. I've never experienced a burglary in any of my homes or apartments, but I do have a friend who was burgled once. One friend, one time, and that was over 15 years ago. And in fact, I don't know anyone who's been a victim of a crime in the last 10 years. The streets are safe. The shopping malls are a pleasure to visit. There are coffee shops, tea shops, restaurants. Everywhere we go, we can indulge ourselves and relax in this communist society. If this is what people are afraid of, I really don't understand their fear. Communism is only bad if you read about it in Western media. In reality, what we see as our daily lives here in China is a pretty nice way to live. So when people ask me, how is it to live in communist China? And I tell them these things, for some reason, many people still criticize me for wanting to live here. I don't understand it. But thanks once again for watching my take on China, and I will see you next time. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and bye for now.